Awesome. Well, hello everyone and welcome to Texas REIAs. I'm Shenoah, the owner and founder of Texas REIAs. Well, hi everybody and welcome to Texas REIAs. Excited to be with you all here today. We got a couple of folks in our live audience and we got a couple of folks that are joining us online. So we broadcast our meetings every single Tuesday. So if you're watching us in person, stoked to be here for you, and I've got some special surprises for those of you guys who are in person with us. We're also doing a live broadcast, so we have you guys are part of our TV audience. You didn't think that you signed up for that, did you? Some of you guys, I may even ask you to participate a little bit in our audience tonight as well. So excited to be with you, excited to share with you what we've learned over the past almost 2 decades of investing in real estate here in Texas, and also being part of and running the Real Estate Investor Association. So I want to welcome all of you guys here. Again, Shenoah Grove, founder of Texas REIAs. I'm actually a 4th generation real estate investor. My great-grandparents invested. They had about 48 properties. My grandparents invested. My parents still to this day have about 12 properties, and love what they do in real estate and get to have a lot of fun as a result of building a lifetime of both income and wealth as real estate investors. So as we get started, I want to just kind of share a little bit about what we do here at Texas REIAs. So every month we get together and educate the members of the association about how they can invest in real estate, how they can be successful, how they might need to pivot in their business. So for us, we've been pivoting probably ever since we got started. We got started at an unusual time in 2003. Where there was still kind of suffering in some areas from the dot-com boom and bust. So learned how to invest in that market, learned how to invest in the credit boom market and the credit bust market, and probably one of the worst housing markets that any of us that are alive in this room or watching online have ever been through. So we've had to pivot our business multiple times through those situations, as well as through the disruptions that we've had over the last 2 years. And I will tell you, it's never been more fun to be a real estate investor than over these last couple of years, just because it's been such a beautiful time in terms of watching the values of properties go up. I hear a lot of people who are complaining about inflation. As a real estate investor, inflation's probably one of the best gifts on this planet, especially for those of us real estate investors who have a lot of buy and hold inventory, because we've seen some of that buy and hold inventory really go up in value over the last several months. And for those of you guys who are in person with us, I'd love to welcome you all to join us on our socials. So we have a Texas REIAs Facebook page, a Texas REIAs YouTube channel, and also Texas REIAs podcast, Instagram, a little bit of whatever you guys are looking for. So for me, I know I find that I consume a lot of information on podcasts when I'm working out. I know some of you guys are probably, who are my YouTubers in the room? I think you have to be like under 30 to be a YouTuber. Is that okay? Okay. So that actually makes me kind of glad that you guys are not YouTubing as much as sometimes I see a lot of the new members of the association are, especially the younger members of the association, are getting information on YouTube. And I mean, I say this, what I'm going to say. I say this full knowing that I have a YouTube channel, but I will say our YouTube channel and our association is all about Texans, teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using the strategies that work in, you guessed it, Texas, versus a lot of times when I see people learning from YouTube channels, they're getting information from people in Utah, people in Arizona, people in Florida, people in California. And are the laws a little bit different? The answer is yes. And are your results a little different, especially if you're not following the correct laws? And the answer is yes. So I don't claim to be everything to everyone, but I do claim to be all things real estate investing in Texas. I can go very deep in Texas. I don't go wider than the state of Texas, but considering Texas is about the 8th largest GDP, and I don't know, with this most recent like oil and gas spike, Texas may be like the 6th or 7th largest GDP of any other economy, any other country in the world. So pretty good place to invest in real estate, right? And as we go through the meeting tonight, I'll share with you some different resources. For those of you guys who are in person with us, obviously we've got the slides showing online, and for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, you can follow those slides as well. And you can take pictures of them. You're welcome to take pictures of them. You're also welcome to check them out again on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, our Facebook page as well. So want to make sure you guys have all of the basics down. So some of the slides that I'm showing do include many of those basics when it comes to being a real estate investor, in terms of where to get those contracts, where to get those forms, because you guys are going to kill me if you use a non-TREC form here in Texas. Basically, when you take that contract to the title company is going to kind of, I mean, they'll be nice about it, but in their mind's eye, they're rolling their mind's eye at you and saying, oh great, here we got a newbie and I'm going to have to spend a lot of time with this one, or I'm going to have to fix this one or whatever. So please, I don't want you guys to brand yourself or hold up the newbie flag, which is using a non-TREC real estate contract. So and that, when I refer to TREC, that's the Texas Real Estate Commission. So the Texas Real Estate Commission, they license realtors, brokers, appraisers, inspectors. So they do a lot to keep the general public safe out there, and provide all those licensing requirements for those of us who are realtors and brokers, specifically me. So although you do not have to be a realtor or broker to be an investor, in fact, I'd probably recommend against it. I am a licensed realtor and broker in the great state of Texas, license number 0518223. Now, why do I say I'm a broker and a realtor, but I don't necessarily recommend you guys go out and get your broker or your realtor's license. Take you about 5 years after you get your realtor's license, or 4 or 5 years to be able to get your broker's license. And the reason is why so when I first started investing, I didn't necessarily have a Shenoah to sit at the top of the room and slap the real estate license out of me and say, what are you thinking? So basically what that looked like is I thought, oh, well, I need to know about real estate, so I'm better going to get my license. And I'm sure probably a lot of you guys are thinking that as well, but what you find is realtors get paid on page 2 of the HUD, or the closing disclosure document, and investors get paid on page 1. And all of the money is on page 1, and all of the scraps are on page 2. So the faster you realize that, and what I see a lot of real estate agents realize that as they start working with investors, and they're seeing their $5,000 to $10,000 commission, which looks really good until you look at page 1 of the closing disclosure and you realize that the investor on the deal is making 10x what you're making. So a lot of times I see realtors want to make that jump. So, and I will tell you that there are plenty of realtors out there. You will not be a successful real estate investor unless you have a real estate investor friendly realtor on your team. That is a requirement, because the numbers that you'll find online that Zillow is giving you are not satisfactory. In fact, Zillow's own numbers practically caused Zillow to go broke recently and basically entirely get out of the business, the iBuyer business of buying houses from homeowners trying to fix it up themselves. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Their stock dropped precipitously after they disclosed that and decided, man, this real estate investing thing is harder than we thought. And by the way, all of our numbers are wrong. So what does that tell you guys? Don't use those numbers unless you want to get yourself in a lot of Zillow hot water. So guys, for those who are online, I want to play a quick commercial that describes Texas REIAs and a little bit about what you'll learn here at Texas
Would
REIAs.
you like to be a real estate investor in Texas? Come to one of our free local meetings to get access to free training, wholesale properties, capital, and power teams. Click on the link below to find a meeting near you and register for free.
Awesome, guys. So for those of you who are joining us online, you can just head over to TexasREIAs, REIAS.com/live, and you can come in and join one of our live meetings. So we meet every Tuesday in one of the major markets throughout Texas. So that's Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. So we'd love to have you guys join us. For those of you guys who are watching online, we do have a room full of people. It's going to be starting to fill up as the meeting gets going. And I wanted to just make a quick notation about one of the things that was in that commercial that you saw there. And that was the fact that you don't have to worry about capital. So what I find is a lot of people who are starting to invest in real estate, one of their number one worries is, how am I going to get the money to do one of these deals? How many of you guys are a little concerned about where's this money, where's this so-called money going to come from? So as part of Texas REIAs, we are very well networked with an incredible amount of hard money lenders, private money lenders, people who are in their self-directed IRA. And if there's any way we could get that door closed in the back or get the gentleman off of the phone, that would be super duper helpful, because it does get a little loud and noisy in here. So thank you guys for that. So the money's there. All you need to do is find the deals. So as part of this presentation tonight, we'll be sharing with you the different ways to be able to find deals in your real estate investing journey. And that's probably one of the I think one of the things that people think is the hardest right now. Why do people think right now it's finding deals is the hardest thing out there? It's the hottest market we've ever invested in. Yeah, what else? Supply is low. I got it, yeah. Supply is low. What else? Why else would that worry you? Why else? Are you thinking that your deal is on the MLS? Anybody in here thinking your deal is on the MLS? Anybody looking for a deal on the MLS? Who said that? Who said yes? Yeah. Okay, no, she corrected her. She's like, no. Let me tell you guys, your deal is not on the MLS. That's pretty much something I can guarantee. Your deal is not on the MLS. Your deal is in some dark, dingy alleyway somewhere, okay? That's what I can promise you about your deal. And I will tell you that, and I was listening to another colleague of mine, Eddie Gant, he owns Jet Lending, and he was telling us something that his original real estate mentor told him about 25 years ago, which is there is always somewhere between about 2 and 6% of the market that is distressed. No matter how good or how bad the market is, it's always at least that 2 to 6%. So how many houses sold last year in Texas? Over 400,000 properties. Do you think there's some off-market deals that occurred, off-market sales that occurred as well? And the answer is yes, a whole boatload of them. And that happens all the time. So I want you guys to not be looking on the MLS for your quote-unquote deals, because your deal is probably not on the MLS. Specifically last month, I think houses on the MLS sold for somewhere between 100 and about 101% of their list price. So can you make money if you're buying it full retail and trying to resell it full retail? Unless you have a really incredible value play, and or unless you hold that property long enough to watch that value grow up. But for most of you guys, now is good, right? So I like to make that money back today. And some of you guys want to buy and hold, and I'm a buy and holder for sure. But some of you guys are looking to also fix and flip. So I'm curious, how many of you guys are actively investing? How many of you guys are actively investing? All right, cool. How many of you guys are working with a seller right now and it's maybe not going as well as you had originally planned it? Is it Lonnie? Yes. Lonnie, would you be open to joining us at the mic and talking about your deal by chance? No. So if anybody wants to shake down Lonnie in the parking lot, he may have some secrets to tell. I won't ask you an address or anything like that. Lonnie says, no, thank you. Anybody else want to talk about any of their deals? You do, ma'am, I can tell. Yeah, come up, I won't hurt. No, the woman behind you is smiling really big and laughing. Lonnie, see, now you set a precedent for me. Now I got to go break it.
I'm sorry, you can do it.
I can do it. Yeah. Who's up? Who wants to talk about some deal that they're working on? Come on up, ma'am. Give her a round of applause, please. Yes, come on, please. Yes. The blonde. Yes, come on. Yes, wonderful. Yeah. Lonnie, I told you. You're not going to stop me. Hey, what's your name, ma'am? How are you? Good. I didn't hear your name. I'm sorry. Perla. Yes. Okay, that's beautiful. My mom's middle name is Pearl, so you guys have that in common. So
yes.
Tell me what you're working on. Tell me what you're doing in real estate.
I have several. I mean, I'm an investor.
A little closer to the mic. I'm sorry.
Well, I do several things. I'm an investor and I own a construction company.
Okay,
so
great. So you just became the most popular person in the room. I'm just saying. Yeah. So how long have you been on the construction side of the business?
12 years.
12 years. How long have you been on the real estate investing side of the business?
2 years.
2 years. So you see this very commonly with people in construction, and you see this very commonly with people who are real estate agents who have been, you probably for the prior 10 years helped a lot of real estate investors make a lot of money.
Yes.
Yes, and so you're like, they didn't seem very smart. I think we know more about construction than they do. So tell me how the finding of deals are going for you.
Well, I work with several that works with a company called Networks. I did several houses for them, but like you said, they're on the upside. You know, they value property and tell you it's going to cost you this much, and this is where a lot of people lose money because they put it at $70,000 it's going to cost you, but then we come in, prices, some material, all this stuff is at a higher.
Yeah, their prices for repairs are always for someone who is incredibly handy, has all the tools, and maybe like have all their maybe robbed a truck to be able to get the supplies for free. Is that roughly correct for those of you? Okay, yeah. So you know, I would say, did you guys follow that? So she says a lot of the people that she's working with to help find deals, they're giving repair estimates that are incorrect. And being someone who's been in the business for 12 years working on the construction side, you have a pretty good idea of what things cost and when something kind of doesn't maybe pass your sniff test, right? So you are blessed, Perla, from that aspect. But not everyone else in this room is blessed like Perla from having that experience. So what I will tell you guys is whenever you are working with a wholesaler, who do you need to have on your team? There's two really critical people you got to have on your team. Who do you need to have on your team if you're getting deals from a wholesaler? This is the interactive part. You got to have a contractor, yes. Okay, good.
Yes.
And a realtor, yeah. Because what is your wholesaler going to screw up when they're giving you information? They're going to screw up two things really big time. They're going to screw up the ARV, the after repair value, and then they're also going to screw up what the repair is to be able to get to that after repair value. Basically, they're going to tell you this is what the highest price that's ever sold of any price house, not in this neighborhood, but maybe 2 miles away from this neighborhood. They'll use that as a comp, which can be very painful lesson for you guys, right? And then the other thing they'll do is they'll give you a repair estimate that might have been accurate, you know, 5 or more years ago, okay?
Yes.
So you guys have to protect yourself, and when you are in a little bit of a frenzy, and sometimes when you meet these wholesalers at these houses, and how many of you guys have met a wholesaler at a house and it's like you got 10 buyers who you're competing with? How many of you guys have been in those situations, right? So some of you guys have, and it's oh, you know, am I missing out? There's that fear of missing out, that FOMO, and that runs really hard when you're in one of these situations.
Yes,
but I want you guys to instead have JOMO, joy of missing out, right? So you never want to compete. Please, if you're writing this down, Mark's starting to take a note. Mark's going to start taking notes now. Write this down. If you ever compete with stupid and you win, you've actually lost, you just haven't figured it out yet. And when do you figure it out? As you get the realtor who says, no, this house isn't worth that, and or as you get the contractor who says, I can't fix it for what they told you. No one possibly can. So having those two people on your team. Who's a third person that we might want to add to our team just to make sure we don't get ourselves into a big amount of trouble with some of these wholesalers that are out there? Who's a third person? Somebody says title. Yeah, they're gonna find the hairs on the title that maybe the wholesaler hasn't found out yet. But who else? Did you say what? Lenders. Does anyone in here want free coaching, free advice? Okay, sure. Okay, Mark, write this down as well. Take your deal to a lender and see what they say. Are they going to give you some of the best free coaching, free advice you've ever had in your entire life?
Yes.
And the answer is yes. Because what are they going to tell you if your deal's not a deal?
Yeah,
They're going to say, no, we're not going to fund this deal. So here's the people who get in the most trouble from these wholesalers is people like Mark. Mark, you look like you've done pretty well in life. Mark, you look like you've saved up a couple dollars, right? And then Mark gets out to this deal. Mark's got a little cash, right? Mark doesn't have any friends in real estate, doesn't have any boots in the ground. This wholesaler looks pretty good, looks like a good guy to me. Writes wholesaler a non-refundable deposit for $5,000. And by the way, when they say non-refundable, Mark, you can write this down too, they mean non-refundable. And I have screamed and yelled and pitched fits and called attorneys on behalf of the members of the association to try and get some people who got a little in too quickly for their own good out of some of these deals. And what I found is the non-refundable really does mean non-refundable. And Lonnie, I'm typically really good at getting people to do what I want them to do. And Lonnie, I'm still working on you, but that's the problem. So I gotta get somebody like Perla on your team. Who are my realtors in the room? What's your name, ma'am? Tasha. Got to get somebody like Tasha on your team as well. And then I'm sure we've got some money in the room. Who wants to lend money on a deal? I can't read your name, sir. Buddy. And what's your name, sir? Guido. Buddy and Guido say, I want to, oh, and what's your name, ma'am? Madeline says, I want to loan you money. Now, are these lenders in here going to let you make a big mistake? Some people think, well, the lender's going to let me make a mistake because they want to get the property back. Is that really how that works? No, they're going to go to the auction. They're going to sell it to whoever sells. They're only going to get their portion back. I mean, maybe a little bit more, but was it worth their trouble? And everything else, probably not. So guys, you can work with a wholesaler. Just make sure you have identified what is obvious to me, which is there is a conflict of interest when you're dealing with a wholesaler. What's that conflict of interest? The only way that a wholesaler is going to get paid is if you believe the BS that they are pushing. And what is the BS? That is incorrect values and that is incorrect repair estimates. Now, welcome to real estate investing, my friends, right? It's a little bit the wild, wild west out there. And I'll just say this, trust but verify, right? Trust but verify, just like anything that you would want to do in life. And, a part of me is, I want to just put this out there. I don't think anybody's out there necessarily trying to screw you guys over, but there are people that are incompetent out there. And there are people who are liars out there, right? And for me, if you are incompetent and or if you are a liar, well, either way, you're out. So that's I don't even want to get close to that. Perla, thank you for coming up to speak and sharing a little bit about your story. I appreciate that. And I see there's a woman also in the back who maybe had a question. Yes. We can't hear you though, so could you walk up to this mic over here? Lonnie, you're next.
Hi, hello, good afternoon, folks.
Hi,
everyone.
What's your name?
My name is Eula Beeson. I'm very thrilled to be here. And I'd like to ask everyone to break the ice a little bit and just
I thought I was
ask
doing
your
that.
questions. I think all of you are here for information, just like me.
Yes.
And my question to you was, what about ethics and honesty and competence and experience and truth in any deal that we make? Everybody to make a quick buck. They'll tell you anything you want to hear. I just want to hear the truth. If the foundation has problems, if the gutters need to be taken out, sometimes they do know this information, but just to get the deal out and make some money, they'll tell you anything. And so what does the law say about truth in information?
That's a good question.
The house inspection is part of that, and we don't always get the full and round truth.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that addition.
Thank you.
You can stay up here. So if you're new, definitely get an inspection. The issue sometimes you'll find with a wholesaler, and they'll, by law we're required in almost every single instance to give you a seller's disclosure. But what do some of these seller's disclosures look like?
Incomplete.
They're very incomplete is a euphemism for known defects will be hidden here. Is I think maybe the euphemism for what they're doing. Now, if they are aware of something, is that fraudulent? Are there damages? The answer is yes. Think about though who you might be suing. And how much money they may or may not have. So I would think about that. So one of my business coaches about 15 years ago, I was in a situation where I had been wronged, and I had the ability to hire an attorney and make it right. And my business coach said to me, Shenoah, if you get in a fight with a skunk and you win because you're right, at the end of the day, you're still going to come up smelling like a skunk. Yeah, so he asked me, like, how long is it going to take you to win this lawsuit? It'll probably take me about 6 months. Well, what could you be doing in that 6-month period that might be able to, could you do something that might bring you back even more money than the issue cost you? And as I kind of did a deep dive and kind of got past the fairness of it, I just kind of put my head down and went back to work and just said onward and upward. Now, regarding the ethics in real estate, so realtors are required to adhere to a code of ethics that is pretty strict, I would say. Real estate investors, it is literally the wild, wild west. It really is. It is very much a buyer beware, and that's what I said. That's why I said trust but verify, right? And have good people around you. Have good people around you at all times. And that's what I find a lot of new people will watch an HGTV show and say this looks easy. I can definitely do this. This is no problem. And then they get boots on the ground, and it's like the thing that happens in Houston too is it's not just the wholesalers. I mean, sometimes it's the contractors. How many of you guys have heard horror stories about plumbers putting cement down the drains of some of these investors that they might be having an issue with, or even some homeowners, right? Really, why? Some people are saying, "Oh my gosh, yes, that's a thing." But this is the wild, wild west. I will say that, and that's why I kind of jokingly said, "Welcome to real estate investing." You got somebody tripping you, got somebody giving you a gut punch, and you're not expecting it. So for us, the thing that kind of kept us from getting those punches is being surrounded by great people, right? Okay. By having a bunch of local boots on the ground, by not just by making sure we don't get pulled into maybe a conflict of interest issue, like there is a lot of times with these wholesalers. Again, it's I don't know with some of these wholesalers if it is that they are incompetent, right, or if it is that they are a liar. Again, either way, I don't want to find out, and I'm not going to be sucked in personally, and I don't want any of you guys to be as well, sucked into a situation where you are in a bidding war and you have this FOMO, right, this fear of missing out, and then you see one guy's, you came in and you said, this is going to be what I'm going to bid on this property, and you're like, I'm not gonna go away from that, and you see 5 people who bidded up $50,000 over what you were going to bid, and what do you go home thinking? What do all of you guys go home thinking when you're bidding $200,000 on a property and that's your max number, and somebody else comes in and bids $250,000? What are you thinking? They don't know what they're doing. Okay, Lonnie thinks they don't know what they're doing. What else might you be thinking? Thank you, appreciate you coming up. What else might someone be thinking? Okay, let's be honest. Is anybody saying, maybe I missed something? Yeah, maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to go and rethink this. Guys, whenever you say, and usually you're saying this to a seller versus a wholesaler, whenever you say the phrase, let me go and sharpen my pencil, what is that a euphemism for? I'm going to lie to myself about what I think the true repair budget is, right? I'm going to lower my repair budget. And I'm also going to lie to myself about what I think the property might ultimately sell for, right? And so that's higher. This is lower. And so what does that mean? Well, now I can see where this person maybe made that $50,000 increase over what I was willing to pay. Well, what situation might you don't know if this person is going to lose money at the end of the day, do you? You don't know. What if you're competing against a buy and hold investor versus a fix and flip investor? Will a buy and hold investor always pay more than a fix and flip investor? Yes. Why? Because they're not in a hurry they don't have to force value in this very short period of time, which a hard money lender wants their money back, which is 6 months, right? They don't have to force that value right away. They can wait for that value to go up over the course of years. So find out who you are competing with, and again, they could be incompetent. They could have a different exit strategy. They could, did I say incompetent already? I can't remember if I said, okay, I just want to make sure that I got that out there. So don't bring it back to you and say, I must have something wrong here. I must have something wrong here. And I see, especially with a lot of new investors, that their thought process is, and they're not, this is like at some level going on in their mind where they are basically saying, well, I'm brand new to this, so of course my deal's not gonna have any problems at all. Of course there are not gonna be any surprises on my, on my project, right? I'm gonna be the only person who's ever said that my renovation project came in on time and on budget. Whereas that has never been said before by anyone else, right? So I'm gonna be that person. Oh, my contractor, this is gonna be so easy, right? This is my first time doing it, so of course he's gonna hold, or he or she is gonna hold my hand and walk me all the way through it, right? And of course, we're not gonna find any surprises because I had them walk through the house, right? And of course, I'm an expert at this. I'm not gonna make any change orders. I'm not gonna say halfway through the project, you know what would look really great? If we just move this wall. Right? No one ever says that, right? No one ever does those. So that's something I see that gets a lot of investors in a lot of trouble. And sometimes, again, they don't notice it until they get to the finish line, I'll tell you. And Phil, may I ask a question? Are we gonna talk a little bit about houses flipping people tonight? Yes. All right, great, awesome. So I got a call from I'll call him a broker, about some property here in Houston. And the owner had basically abandoned 5 different projects. And I'm curious to how this happened. Aren't you? Right? You see 5 projects. Apparently he's in them all cash, which means what? Maybe he didn't have somebody helping him with his due diligence at the end, at the beginning of the project, right? And maybe he got in a little bit over his head because, again, one of the biggest issues that I see when people are investing their own cash, right? What does that mean? They don't have anybody looking over their shoulder to check the math, right? They don't have anybody over their shoulder to check the math. So I'd advise you guys to get someone over your shoulder to check your math to make sure that you're doing it right, especially at the beginning. Don't get that FOMO, that fear of missing out, and get the JOMO, because you never know exactly what they're thinking and exactly what that situation might actually look like. So guys, I'm actually kind of excited. I got a special announcement tonight, and just want to welcome everybody who's online joining us as well. We have the host of Houses Flipping People here with us tonight. How many of you guys saw the Houses Flipping People van outside when you guys came in? A couple of you guys. So we have Olivia here. She's the host of Houses Flipping People. The story of Texas REIAs is the story of its members, and Olivia has been going out meeting with many of the members who have started investing in real estate and have been able to successfully invest in real estate and in many cases change their lives. So for those of you guys who want to know more about Houses Flipping People, we've got a few brochures out front. You guys can grab one of those just to learn a little bit more about Houses Flipping People. And I'll play a little quick commercial about it as well.
Houses Flipping People is sponsored by Texas REIAs, the largest network of real estate investor associations in Texas. If you have even the slightest interest in investing in real estate, come to one of our local free meetings to learn how. Click on the link below.
And guys, very excited to have the host Olivia with us from Houses Flipping People. I want to make sure you guys can see both of us in the camera angle, so give me 1 second to get this going. Let's see here, and I think it is this guy. Let me try it again. There we go. So Olivia, would you like to tell them a little bit about Houses Flipping People?
So hi guys, yes, I showcase Texas REIAs members, and I traveled through Texas, interviewed them, looking at their deals, seeing their story to interview them, how much real estate has transformed their lives. So I'd love to host one of you guys on my show, hosted by Texas REIA, and it's all about the real estate and how much real estate not just transform the house, but the life of the investor itself as well. So.
Yeah, so most TV shows you guys have seen out there are specifically about the houses, right? But when we talk about Texas REIAs, it's really more the story of the members and the evolution that a lot of the members have gone through as part of them becoming part of Texas REIAs and as part of them becoming a real estate investor. There are several episodes that are out there, so if you guys want to see how a baker who lost her entire business about 2 years ago as a result of the last disruption, flipped about 18 houses, you can check out the story of Flavia. If you want to hear about a Fortune 500 executive who went from a job that he hated to a life that he loved as a real estate investor, you can listen to Jeff's story. We also have Mike and Vanessa, so they made about $2 million on their last flip, and they'll go through their story as well. Rosie and Roger, so I know we have some realtors in the room. I know a lot of realtors are looking at jumping from page 2 of the HUD or of the closing disclosure document over to page 1 of the closing disclosure document, and they were able to do that, and they'll talk a little bit about their story. A therapist who became a real estate investor, and so many more. So every week we're releasing a new episode to showcase one of the members as part of Texas REIAs who quit doing something that they hated to do something that they loved in real estate investing. And you'll look to see Olivia as hosting that show. Love for you guys to follow us and subscribe to the YouTube channel just so you can watch more of the stories of the members of Texas REIA. So thank you so much for coming up here and joining us. So as we get ready to transition to the next part of the presentation, just want to thank everyone who's joined us online, and we'll start our next presentation shortly.